So I've done two videos on the Ford Territory now. In the first video, we compared it to the Coolray. In the second video, we did a test drive and compared it to the Azkarra. In this video, we'll compare the two variants of the Territory, the Titanium and the Trend, and we'll try to find out if the price difference is worth it. So on the left is the Ford Territory Trend, and on the right is the Ford Territory Titanium. Try to spot the differences. I'd say the differences are very subtle. The most obvious difference, at least on the outside, are the wheels. The Titanium has 18-inch wheels, while the Trend has 17s. You'd have to zoom in a bit closer to see the other differences. Since the Titanium has a 360 camera, it has cameras all around the car. It has a camera on the grille. It has a camera underneath the side mirrors. And it has a camera on the tailgate. And since the Titanium has adaptive cruise control, it also has a radar unit at the front. Aside from that, they're basically identical on the outside. The Trend doesn't look like a base variant. It gets the same LED headlamps with daytime running lights. It also gets LED taillights. It gets all the chrome that the Titanium has. Wala mga bare plastic flat black side mirrors or door openers. The Trend looks just as macho and as expensive as the Titanium. Hindi siya mukhang tinipid. Okay, so this is the interior of the Ford Territory Trend. As you can see, it looks very similar to the interior of the top of the line Titanium. The most noticeable difference would be this trim. On the Titanium, you have a wood panel here. I'm not sure what this material is, but it doesn't feel like it's bare plastic. It feels like it's rubberized. This is also leather, like on the Titanium. This is soft touch. Okay, it feels a bit more firm than on the Titanium. You also get a leather covered steering wheel. You're missing a couple of buttons here. You also get this cruise control knob. It doesn't have adaptive cruise control, but it does have regular cruise control. The center console almost looks identical, except that you have a couple of black buttons here. On the Titanium, these buttons are for the automatic parking. Like on the Titanium, you have this, you have a single cup holder here, which is pretty quirky because it seems like you have space here for two. And like on the Titanium, you also get a split center armrest, which is something that you usually find in more expensive vehicles like BMWs. Another major difference is the instrument cluster. On the Titanium, you have a digital cluster. On the Trend, you have this analog cluster. And you also lose the wireless charging of the Titanium. You also don't get a 360 camera. Like the Titanium, you also have two air vents here and one USB port. You also got a center armrest with two cup holders. So basically here in the back, it is exactly identical as the Titanium. Yeah, that's it. Usually you notice the differences in different variants on the interior. Most manufacturers really make you feel like you're getting the base model. They give their base models fabric seats, urethane steering wheels, etc. Halatang tinipid. But you won't find those in the Ford Territory Trend. The interior of the base model looks just as expensive as the interior of the top of the line. And surprisingly, you also get a panoramic sunroof. This is the only base model in this segment that has a panoramic sunroof. As far as amenities are concerned, Ford is pretty generous with their base model territory. Instead of giving you a bare bones interior, visually at least, they're giving you almost an identical interior. But they're giving you the option of paying more for features which I think are quite important. Okay, features. Like I said before, the Territory Trend gets an analog cluster, while the Titanium gets a digital cluster. That's probably something that's minor for some people. You also get a power adjustable driver's seat on the Titanium. The Titanium gets self-parking. If you've been driving for a while, you may not need it, but it's a nice party trick for your friends. I think the most important differences are in the safety department. The Territory has automatic emergency braking, which automatically applies the brakes if it detects a collision. Now, I didn't get to test this personally, but even if it works only 50% of the time, it's way better than not having it. It has lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control. It also gets a 360 camera, which I think is more than just a gimmick. I think it's actually pretty useful. The Titanium and the Trend are identical as far as mechanicals are concerned. They both get the same 1.5 liter turbocharged engine that produces 141 horsepower and 225 Newton meters of torque. They both get CVTs. The CVT of the Territory doesn't do fake shifts. When you floor the gas, the engine goes to its optimal RPM and stays there. So you get that droning sound that CVTs are known for. The driving experience is almost exactly the same, except that you don't get a lot of beeps from your blind spot warning and lane departure warning. The 360 camera is also missed. On the Titanium, you would get a view of your left or right blind spot when you activate either turn signal. It is not a sporty crossover by any means. The suspension is more tuned for comfort, so it is a bit soft, but it didn't feel like I was driving a boat. Anyway, I think canyon carving is not among the list of activities of the potential buyers of this crossover. It is quiet, it's comfortable, and if you're not expecting a sporty crossover, I don't think you'd find a lot of things to be disappointed by. Ford's pricing strategy on the Territory is hard to beat right now. The Trend sells for $1.17 million, and the Titanium sells for $1.29. At those prices, nothing comes close to it in terms of interior quality and features, except maybe for the Coolray. Now, is the price difference between the base model and the top of the line worth it? Ultimately, ikaw makakapag-decide nun, because it's your money. I don't think you'd feel shortchanged if you buy the base model, but I think 120,000 pesos for adaptive cruise, automated emergency braking, and a 360 camera is a bargain.